KISSA In-Store Radio, broadcast for the curious.
Good evening to everyone that has tuned in, to all present here. We're broadcasting live from KISSA In-Store Radio here at the Veg Non-Veg store in Gurgaon. A big shout out to Antariksh Records and Antariksh Radio Curations for setting this up and curating an entire summer of radio residencies, bringing forward different voices, approaches to the live mix, going beyond what one traditionally experiences at a club, but also instead going deeper into sound cultures and sonic histories from India and around the world. My name is Neelansh. I go by kidisinthejungle. The foundation of my artistic practice is rooted in documentary filmmaking. While studying the form, I discovered my curiosity for sound, and then kind of followed that thread, which revealed all sorts of facets of what the form has to offer, whether it's field recordings on a documentary set, whether it's fiction, whether it's designing sound for installation and musical compositions, I mean the works. I always say that when I talk about documentaries, it's actually something we were discussing with a friend the other day, that because of documentaries, one gets an opportunity to travel in parts of the country which otherwise you have no reason to actually be there. So one is super grateful to actually be there to like witness that performance or record that sound. Especially also we saw that through your set, Gitanjali, in the previous 1 hour, which was like a beautiful collection throughout Himachal Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, and it's Delhi as well. And I feel like, I mean, that's also quite nice because there are a lot of like mutual points of connection for both of us and our practice, and we also come from the same institute. So that's a big shout to SACAC. I'll just start us off with so some of the stuff I'll be playing will be primarily field recordings I've recorded on set or otherwise for some project or the other, but then some also from some friends and people who I kind of spoke to about the set and people I've worked with. So we'll just begin with that. We'll actually begin with Suvani's thoughts on field recording itself. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Suvani and I'm an artist and researcher based in Delhi. Thinking of the question of field and field recording, I would like to share how I'm drawn to these questions of not just collecting or recording the field, but also thinking about how the field moves, how it is manipulated, reshaped into forms that can often carry it beyond and more than the recording itself. With Norient City Sounds, a publication that I had curated in 2023, where artists, musicians, writers were invited to think about what it means to listen to the sound of the city, I began to wonder if the field itself is ever quite so stable. Where does a field begin? Where does it end? Is it a geographical place, or is it the space around the microphone? Is it something that is produced by memory, or can the field reach you even though you cannot move through it?
I'd like to just now play another field recording from a documentary project that I was on when we were in Uttarakhand for 2 months. And I'd like you to just actually try and identify what this field recording is, and also maybe just reflect on what it's making you feel. So Gitanjali guessed if it was a tractor or not, but basically, so I was part of this. The project itself was called Walking on Thin Ice, but we were part of a film crew following a group of activists and researchers throughout Uttarakhand for 2 months, from covering the length and breadth of the entire state. And the idea was actually documenting how the environmentally sensitive Himalayan region is witnessing change. Every 10 years, this yatra happens. So we were lucky to visit the whole state and go from village to village and essentially assess what all has changed, whether it's socio-cultural changes, whether the infrastructure, like causing major development changes as well. Anyway, so that was the kind of a description into what we were doing. But this is actually a metal swing that was basically the rotating swing that you would usually see in a park or in a school. And when we walked through that and going into a meeting basically to meet people, I realized, okay, this is gold. One has to do something with it. And so I got my colleague with me, and we recorded at least 5 minutes of just this. And I always thought, okay, this is going to be something. It just sounded so menacing. It sounded like it can be used for a soundtrack in a film, as if like there's some like alien drones almost kind of crossing the sky. And of course, you tweak it, you play with it. So actually, it was because of this set, I tried to tweak it a little bit as well and see perhaps musically what can be done. So just a little kind of experiment into what can be done with field recordings. So I'll just play that.
जैसे इश्क का मामला था, हज़रत अमीर खुसरो को महबूब इलाही से मोहब्बत का ये अंदाज़ा देखिएगा यहाँ पे कितना ज़बरदस्त मामला है कि जिस वक्त हज़रत अमीर खुसरो सरकार हज़रत निज़ामुद्दीन महबूब इलाही पर्दा फरमाने वाले थे, आप दुनिया से रुखसत होने के लिए हैं, तो आपने कह दिया हज़रत अमीर खुसरो को भेज दिया यहाँ से कि उनको यहाँ से रवाना कर दो। आपको मालूम था कि मैं अब नहीं रहूँगा, तो सरकार को मालूम था कि ये शख्स बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगा। सब तो कर लेंगे बर्दाश्त, मगर ये बर्दाश्त नहीं कर पाया। तो 6 महीने बाद सरकार अपना जो भी काम वाम था उनका वो कर आए। अब जो आते हैं दिल्ली, तो देखा कि फिर नहीं है, कहाँ है। लोग बागों ने बड़ा समझाया, वो जाया, मगर वो बताने तो थी। अब जो देखा खबर को, बस वहाँ तो उनकी दुनिया ही बदल गई। तो वो कहा, सरकार ने जब देखा, गोरी सोवे सेज पर, सो मुख पर डालो केस, चल खुसरो घर आपने, सो साँझ भाई क्यों देश। तो इतनी लगाव और इतनी मोहब्बत थी कि आप पूरे 6 महीने बाद सरकार के खुद दुनिया से रुखसत हो। तो ये था कि अब दुनिया मेरे लिए रहा क्या।
So I didn't give context earlier, but basically this is from my student film that I'd made on Qawwali. It's called Jo Ho Soho, and I was looking at these two young Qawwals and their practice and the relationship with their practice, and also the relationship between Amir Khusro and Hazrat Nizamuddin. So this is their father who's speaking. He's speaking to me and kind of talking to me about their relationship and how deep it was, and what kind of also led the deep sadness that Amir Khusro felt after the passing of his lover, actually, of his beloved. But so this sequence actually in the film, this is from a film, so the visual that you're seeing at this moment is of these two brothers walking back after a night at the dargah and walking back into their homes, and eventually going up the stairs through the gullies of Purani Delhi mein, and then eventually kind of resting and sleeping. But so there's a sequence where they're going in the gully, and this is my first moment where I realized, okay, sound plays a vital role, and it can really kind of, there's so much to do here, is when my mentor, Samira Jain, she basically asked me that, okay, there's this shot of these two brothers walking, but how can we make the space come alive? You know, what, apart from just seeing them walk, what else can we show or make the audience feel from designing sound, let's say? So this is where then literally I was then given free reins to go and dig and find sounds of, let's say, the shutter going down of the shop, or a dog barking, or a cooker going off inside a house, you know, a TV playing when they're going up the stairs in another house when they cross it. And suddenly, just by adding all these sounds, suddenly you have a whole life and like a whole soundscape of the area itself, and it's subliminally telling you something as a listener. You may not, of course, clock it, but it adds to that experience. And suddenly you've told a whole story of the mohalla by just, you know, playing with sound. And that for me was something which stood out, and I said, okay, there's something so much that can be done, and to kind of create that journey for the listener. So yeah, I'll just play this into a next sequence of the same film, and it's a Qawwali that they're singing, and it's called Jo Ho Soho, and it's really lovely Qawwali. And actually, whatever I find online is not, you know, as beautifully sung by as is the way the brothers have. So yeah.
ये इश्क नहीं आसा, बस इतना समझ लीजिए। ये इश्क नहीं आसा, बस इतना समझ लीजिए। एक आग का दरिया है और डूब कर जाना है। तो इसमें तो सिर्फ डूबना है भाई। इसके अंदर अगर सोचो, इसके अंदर किनारा मिलेगा, किनारा नहीं मिलेगा।
जाम शराब बे
नियाज कुछ नहीं आपसे जो गुजर गया, आपसे जो गुजर गया, कह उससे क्या जो हो सो, आपसे जो गुजर गया फिर उससे क्या जो हो सो, इश्क में तेरे को है गम सर पे लिया जो हो सो।
कबीर साहब कहते हैं, तेरे राम हृदय में तू बाहर क्यों भटके, तेरे राम तेरे घट में है, तू बाहर क्यों भटक रहे। कबीर साहब ने कहा, और कबीर कुआ एक है, पड़ियारियां हैं अनेक, बर्तन न्यारे न्यारे पानी सभी एक। बर्तन न्यारे न्यारे हैं तो पानी सब में एक ही है। जाए देखो राम में एक, घट में एक ही जिसे राम ने। तो कबीर साहब ने कहा, कबीर कुआ एक है, पड़ियारियां है अनेक, बर्तन न्यारे न्यारे सब में पानी एक। हरी बर्तन न्यारे न्यारे तो सब में पानी एक। कबीर कोठी काठ की, चहुमुखी लगी आग, सच्चे स्वामी रट गए तो कूड़े गए सब भाग। हरी सच्चे स्वामी रट गए तो कूड़े गए सब भाग। हरी क्या भटके आयर, क्या भटके वो, क्या भटके बायर, क्या भटके तारो राम हृदय में, बायर क्या भटके तारो राम हृदय में, बायर क्या भटके। एवा एवा हीर ला एवा हीर ला घट मां कई जे। जवरी बिना हीरो कूण पाण के, वो जवरी बिना हीरो कूण पाण के, थारो राम हृदय में बायर क्या भटके, थारो राम हृदय में बायर क्या भटके। राम समर तू क्यों हट के ओ राम समर तू क्यों हट के तारो राम दे मई बाजर क्या फट के तारो राम दे मई बाजर क्या फट के
अब तो आ गई टाइम अपने घर चलने की। एक बोलते हैं कि मैं घर जाऊंगी, तो घर ये तो नहीं है ना, अपना घर तो जहाँ आया वहाँ जाने का है, घर तो वही है, ठीक है ना। ये तो घर झूठ का है, झूठी दुनिया झूठ कमावे। ये तो एक संसार का मोह जाल है, अपना है वो अपना है वो अपना है, ये मेरा बच्चा है, ये मेरी बच्ची है, ये गाय मेरी है, ये माल मिलकत मेरी है, कोई किसी के साथ नहीं जाती है। ये डोरा है, ये फेंक देगा खोल के, अकेलो आयो, ठीक है ना, उगाड़ो आयो और भूखियो जाएंगे। धनकार इसको है, धरती माता को, ये संभाल के बैठी है ना। जिंदा हूँ तेरे ये ना लताड़ा हूँ, सब काम कर रहा हूँ, लेटरिंग ये माते बे, हाँ ठीक है, खानो जिमा तो ये माते बे है जिमा, और पैदावार ये रीजे सब, और आखिरी टाइम यही चालू होती है।
So, who you just heard speaking was actually Arjun Ram Meghwal, who's one of the singers who we met as part of the documentary that we filmed in Rajasthan in the Barmer district. He's from the Meghwal community. Along with also who was singing earlier was Bhalu Ram Meghwal and Kutla Khan Mangniyar. And this was my first project right after my documentary diploma ended, and we, four of us, both all peers and friends, kind of set out for this project. And this came under the Center for Media and Alternative Communication and Bhuma. And the largest series looked at the state of folk music and folk artists at the time, also post-pandemic, post-digitization, the threat to their livelihood, and also the false promises of like fair compensation. So the series was looking at, okay, what is the state of folk music in Rajasthan and in Assam? And the third film's about the sarangi, the instrument, the classical instrument. And so I'll be playing songs from each film. So this was actually a beautiful, about 2 years we spent completing this project. And yeah, I'll walk you through the rest of the two songs as well, and go into the next film after this. Primarily for the Rajasthan film and generally for folk music right now, it's what is becoming tough is for the younger generation to find a valuable reason to actually take this forward, for them to sustain themselves. And that's something we felt which is common across each state we went to. But the idea then became, okay, how can we at least document it? How can we archive it before the music is separated from its context? So I'll play the next track after this, which is from Assam, from the Sonawal Kosari community, which is a tribal community. And it's actually a group of women singing to the Opesori goddess, which is something they sing every year to welcome, to hope for prosperity for the entire village.
Opesori ahi batota seroi aha hobe agbahi gihe anugo বছৰি প্ৰাণী ৰক্ষা কৰি যোৱা পৃথিৱীতে ঘূৰি তলে সভা ওপৰে ৰভা দিলে দেৱলোকে দেখা দাই নধৰিবা মাতিলে খেমিবা মাতো চৰণতে ধৰি দাই নধৰিবা মাতিলে খেমিবা মাতো চৰণতে ধৰি
Vidya Shah, who was singing for us, and Ghulam Ali with the sarangi, and Shanti Bhushan on the tabla, and Ashik Kumar on the harmonium. And this is the third film we had filmed, which is called The Sarangi, the title of the film, and looking at sarangi's history over the past century and the fate it has kind of taken, the way history has taken shape across the past, the whole century, and tracing that to the present day context. We'll move forward to actually a very different context now, where it's shifting from the Indian context, going into actually the French context, where I learned the form of sound documentary, which really borrows a lot from field recordings. I mean, it's essentially almost all field recordings, and as the name suggests, there's no visual. It's strictly just sound. So this was really also exciting to take up and learn as a form in itself. I'll just let it play, because I also realized I'm running a little slow. But yeah, I'll let you hear and then kind of walk you through it later. Try and close your eyes and see what happens.
Pendant des siècles, le temps travaille pour ceux qui se placent hors du temps. Il n'est pas de Paris, il ne sait pas sa ville. Celui qui n'a pas fait l'expérience de ses fantômes.
Are we ready to start? Yes. We're going to try to travel back to Paris at the Middle Ages, yes? This is not about why Paris is called the city of love. More than the city of the light, we're going to discover the darkness of this city, yes? Well, first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. Hello.
Je m'appelle Eva Serrano.
So please remember my name, Eva or Eve.
I'm 28 years old.
I'm from Spain. You love it.
I was born in Madrid.
You know, I never thought I would become like a tour guide. I just came for 1 month for holidays, and then I fell in love with the city.
Je me suis plus spécialisée sur les paris ésotériques, les paris mystérieux.
I fell in love with the job. I love to talk. I love Paris. I love the mysteries that are in Paris. So the job was just ideal for me. This has been my main job for 6-7 years now. All right?
Voilà, je suis ici, à Paris.
So, are we ready to start? Yes. Perfect.
Très bien, bah, allez-y, allez-y.
Should we take our shoes off?
As you wish. Yeah,
No?
you want.
Yeah.
If you want to record something, you know, I have a room. Come from home. You come here. We close here.
Ah, there's no...
Oh, there's lessons. Oh.
You see, it's perfect here.
You see, they don't hear anything. Huh?
So that was the first about like a few minutes of the sound documentary that we made, and it was actually following who you can hear is Eva, who's a tour guide in Paris, and she conducts the Mysteries and Legends tour in Paris, which basically looks at the more violent and bloody history of Paris as opposed to what we know it to be, which is the city of love, you know, and a city of romance. Our piece kind of followed Eva and her life, and also the fears that she deals with, being in the city of Paris as well. And for me, I mean, more than the documentary itself, it was just the form that kind of really kind of took me, and I felt really comfortable and home at while I was making it, along with my co-director Yasmin, who's from Morocco. And it was actually, so what you can hear, for example, when the piece started, you could hear this kind of low hum and these conversations taking place, and these footsteps that are kind of coming towards you, and then someone whispers basically. But these are all things that we recorded ourselves, and you kind of play, of course, with the EQing and the edit, of course. But there was a time, the recording aspect of it was just so much fun, because Yasmin and I stepped out at about like 12 at night, and then the idea was, okay, what does the city sound like beyond the performance in the day, but what can the city kind of bring you sonically at night? So we went about, you know, recording drains, metro vents, you know, all these low hums, and kind of putting that in our bank, which then eventually made the final design and the final piece. And that really stood out to me, because I feel like the most powerful part of the form is just how it evokes the imagination of the listener. It kind of just places you there. And what sound also allows is you can like transport from spaces, physical spaces, very easily, you know, without having that kind of conflict or feeling a sense of a sense of like feeling misplaced or ejected. It's very smooth. And so I think that we really kind of took to that. The form was very exciting, and so therefore this is where I feel my vocabulary and field recordings kind of exponentially grew, and it kind of helped me give the recordings more shape. It helped me also ideate as to what can be done. And sound documentary is also called the radio documentary in France, and radio is still a very powerful medium in France, and I don't know about the rest of Europe, but definitely France. And I hope, I mean, it really gave me a sense of love and affection towards the medium, and then I hope to kind of take that forward in my practice. I'm going to actually, it sucks, but I'll have to skip over a few tracks because I didn't time this correctly. We're going to go slightly ahead. I will introduce the next track till I reach there, actually. Because I'm also new to this mixer, so also figuring that out. I will just jump ahead to actually a piece that was made by Abhishek and Suvani, and it's for designing. They were designing sound for documentary filmmaker Priyanka Chhabra for her film Ikrar Nama, and I'll just let Abhishek kind of guide you through to their experience, because I had him also introduce it, and here you are.
So these are 3 pieces from the sound design and background score for a film that Suvani Suri and I worked on. The film is called Ikrar Nama, and it was directed by Priyanka Chhabra. Ikrar Nama, which means the agreement, is the story of the late Mr. Charandas Bangia, a partition refugee from Lyalpur, which is now in Pakistan, to Amritsar in the Indian side of Punjab. The film contains interviews of the main protagonist, trying to recall the life he led before he had to migrate, the bazaars, the people he knew, his way of life, and his journey spanning 74 years, where he collected, archived, and preserved every official piece of paper, letters, official documents, employment certificates, property allotments. For the sound design, we were trying to play with the idea of sounds as scattered fragments of memories to reflect the central character. We attempted to support the narrative by creating audio collages, sampling musical and non-musical sounds, and stretching and smudging them. So ambient recordings, room tones, and sound objects recorded through devices like contact microphones were used to treat materials as metaphors, but also carrying their own histories. The deep trauma of partition violence remains in the background in the film, and we also used minimal accents to convey this. Example in the piece that we've called Dear Bapu. The visuals are of letters written by Jawaharlal Nehru to Mahatma Gandhi describing horrible massacres being committed in the Punjab. We used electromagnetic mics and other drone sounds and room tones to convey a dark, dingy basement, perhaps a storeroom for old files. This is layered with a sound of metal cupboard handle jammed and the sizzle of oil being heated. So we're using these sort of material objects, but also to kind of evoke an emotion of things being stuck, repetitive, painful.
So that was 3 examples of what, like the kind of potential that field recordings can give you on the edit table. And Abhishek kind of walked us through their intentionality and their thought behind a film like Priyanka's. And looking at, I also felt it was also important to look at these films given the day that we're broadcasting today as well. And Priyanka's larger body of work also looks at the partition through multiplicity of actually films and as well as a book itself. But the idea also then becomes that how do you kind of take household sounds of, or just regular, which we just note as regular sounds of a desk opening or a drawer closing or a cupboard opening or sound of a clock or anything which is considered mundane but suddenly put together with a certain intentionality can evoke something which even perhaps a song also cannot do. And how can it bring nuance to the design? How can it help the viewer not make the listener kind of, point a finger and tell them what to feel, but allow them space to kind of get there themselves and whatever that may be. And I feel like field recordings gives you that space to as the creator itself and then as the audience, because you get to then enter it in your own way. And I think they made a tremendous score, and you should also definitely look at the film as well. I'll move on to a piece that I'd made. It's called Remembering Ishrat Minai. It's part of the Norian project that we had done, Gitanjali and I, along with Savani and Abhishek and Amar and the whole team. And it was looking at the city sounds, and each contributor was supposed to bring their relationship with the city alive through a composition. So I chose to actually, I had a conversation with my grandmother about ghazals and why does one write them, and because she and her husband, my nana, were both also poets, and they both used to also write as well. So I wanted to kind of, my nana passed away when I was quite young, but I wanted her to reflect on, her relationship with him and their history together, and because we didn't really ever get a chance to speak about that. So the song, it's a track, it kind of samples a conversation with her, and yeah. मतलब गज़ल क्यों लिखी जाती है, किस भाव से लिखी जाती है?
भाव से, जो किसी से दिलचस्पी हो, तुम्हें किसी से मोहब्बत हो।
नाना की याद में आपने कुछ लिखा जो यहाँ पे थे?
लिखा कुछ नहीं नाना की याद में।
बस याद करिए।
दिल में है तो
बयां करिए।
हैं?
बयां करिए।
क्या बयान करें? तुमने एक मेरे मोबाइल में और तस्वीर डाल दी, हर वक्त वही देख लेती। आप खुलते ना भूलने वाली थोड़ी की देख को याद करेगा।
So that was the track that I had composed, making use of field recordings as well as whatever little I had learned in the SACAC short course at music production. Shout out to SACAC again, and Abhishek also guiding me and the rest of the class. But this was actually something where a song or a track. This is my first song actually, and it was really close to me, just given the context, and it really helped. The kind of freedom I had to use field recordings, a conversation, as well as then adding music to it, kind of helped me just take it in a different direction altogether. The next track that I will be playing is actually a song that I recorded most recently, about 2 weeks ago actually, in the last few days of July, where I'm part of a documentary crew that's filming in Punjab. And it's called Every Home Ablaze, the film. And it's directed by Sadhya Rao and Karanjit Singh. And the team also consists of me and also Abhinav Bhattacharya, who's the cinematographer as well. And we've been filming for about 2-3 years now, and there's, like most documentaries, we will go on for a few more years, and braving the lack of budgets, but still determined to tell the story the way it should be told. And so this is a song actually, so I'll just kind of introduce the film because it's largely looking at the drug crisis taking place in Punjab, but that's kind of the subtext. I'll actually read out the synopsis because there's a kind of a story about that as well. In semi-rural Mansa in Punjab, garish billboards promising a better life in North America hang around town. Below these ads, dozens of students line up at pharmacies to buy lethal doses of opioid pills. The message to the youth here is clear: get high or get out. In these dreary circumstances, 3 teenagers, Bittu, Pargat and Jaskaran, find a unique way out. Every weekend, they film fictional videos for social media, inspired by news and real-life stories from their town. Using tools of cinema, they make sense of their community's collective grief. Fiction becomes a conduit to portray taboo subjects like the drug crisis and that which cannot be spoken about plainly and directly. In a country where systemic authoritarianism and rigid notions of shame are a real threat to freedom of speech. But as they turn from boys to men and adult pressures mount, what will become of their filmmaking adventures? Following their lives in invented fictions, Every Home Ablaze is a story about a youth in crisis, living in the shadow of an opioid epidemic and using performance as survival and a reimagining of truth. So that's the synopsis of the film. It's been a very different set of circumstances while we've been there. This, for the first time, we was there during the monsoon period, but we've been filming, of course, over the peak summers, the winters, with these really young boys, almost going into adulthood, 17, 18. And so they met with Ajmer Singh Akhlia, who's from a family, he belongs to a family in the Akhlia village. And while this becomes relevant is the boys met them and they had a conversation about the drug crisis, and this is particularly important because Ajmer Singh Akhlia is also going through a crisis within his own home. And so he sings this song, and he's a daily wage worker in the 80s and the 90s, and even today he's invited to sing at events organized by the Comrades and Punjab's leftist movement. Both him and his wife Manjeet Kaur actively attend rallies and protests that demand worker rights in Punjab. So he sings a song by the famous poet Pash, and I'll let the song play now and then speak about it after. But it becomes relevant to what he says also to today itself.
दहिकदे अंगियारां ते सौंदे रहे ने लोग इस तरह विरात रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग इस तरह विरात रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग ना कतल होए ना होवणगे इश्क दे गीत ए ना कतल होए ना होवणगे इश्क दे गीत ए मौत दी सरदिल ते बै गाउंदे रहे ने लोग इस तरह भी रात रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग नेरियां नू जे भुलेखा हनेरा पाउणे दा नेरियां नू जे भुलेखा है हनेरा पाउणे दा नेरियां नू रोक भी पाउंदे रहे ने लोग इस तरह भी रात रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग जिंदगी दा जद कदे अपमान कीता है किसे जिंदगी दा जद कदे अपमान कीता है किसे मौत बन के मौत दी आउंदे रहे ने लोग इस तरह भी रात रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग तोड़ के मजबूरियां दे संगलां नू आदतों तोड़ के मजबूरियां दे संगलां नू आदतों जुल्म दे गल संगली पाउंदे रहे ने लोग इस तरह भी रात रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग दहिक दे अंगियारां ते सौंदे रहे ने लोग इस तरह भी रात रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग रशनाउंदे रहे ने लोग
So that was Kashmir Singh Akhlia, and his voice being as powerful as I remember the first time that we had heard him. And it's those moments in the field where you always, when I'm listening to someone actually sing or any kind of performance happening which completely takes you, where one can kind of just close their eyes and just be really present, and his voice does that. So I think that's it for the set today, looking at field recordings and what kind of artistic possibilities that they offer, and the kind of music it also, and the sounds it can introduce you to, and the experiences that it nourishes you with. Thank you so much for having us at KISSA Radio, and again, I'm actually really happy that the radio is taking some form or some shape across the board, and I hope it kind of becomes slightly starts entering a space where it becomes more stable and can retain that space in the community as well, as because it has so much to offer beyond just, let's say, the club sets, but some things like this. So yeah, thank you.